Who is this irresistible creature who has an insatiable love for the...
Well, welcome back to the show, everybody. And in case you haven't noticed, this is the Wrath of Cons, and
I don't understand that reference.
Sheridan C. Hall, aka the Lab Rat, and you can hear my guests already. They're a little excited to be on the show, and we have Mr. Erik Kyr, and yay, woo, yeah, because I don't have a sound machine yet.
We noticed that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But no, and Mr. James Tackett.
The Tackett man.
Ladies are throwing their panties right now.
Oh my gosh. I would throw them if I had any. But no. So,
I would catch them with my teeth.
oh my goodness, yes.
Just get that visual right now.
I know,
Just
right?
Get it.
But, so, in case you haven't noticed, this is going to be the wildest episode we have on The Wrath of Cons probably ever. So, but I have personally worked with these two wonderful gentlemen, and they're not only complete goofballs, but they are masters of their craft. Erik is also an actor, is a sound engineer. You do a lot of scores, and
He does that
is
too.
there something that you don't do?
Let me look at this because, let me just read what my thing says here.
He said his thing.
My badge thingy. It says screenwriter, artist, actor, composer, musician, audio production, music, and producer. That's
So
Mine just says
I do-
asshole.
I think that's actor.
Oh,
I think there's synonyms.
No, it
Yes.
says,
But
it says lover.
Lava.
Lover.
No, it
Yes.
says lava.
Hence the panty throwing.
Lava.
But no, and so thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show. It's really good to be.
Are you picking that up?
Yes, actually, I am picking that
Okay.
up. So
Just check.
it's okay.
Who's there?
Drew will fix that.
Dave's
Cool.
not here, man.
Yeah. Who's Dave?
Drew? Drew?
But no, again, thank you guys for being on the show. I know I've worked with you guys personally
Yes.
on my first project that I ever got to work on.
Yeah.
The wonderful
What was that?
Great and Valkyrie.
Bonanza.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. It was a
I played
romance.
Little Joe.
Little Joe. Little Joe with a big Joe.
He was hoss.
He was Howell.
He was hoss.
Boss Howell.
Because he had his own hat.
Yep.
It's
But,
like
uh,
white one.
But yeah, so no, you guys actually had some stuff here at Imaginarium that was screened.
Mhm.
And some of them you worked on together. So, Erik, what was the stuff that you specifically worked on that showed that Tackett may not have been a part of?
The only one, honestly, would have been Before the Rain, and that was a nice artistic piece that dealt with mental awareness, which was really cool. And that was just for me, audio, and I did wrote the theme song for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really cool. Stephen, Blair, thank you. They're gonna kill me.
You sure you worked on
And
that?
Sarah, yeah, and Sarah, soon to be Blair.
Soon to be.
Yeah, Seraphim Films. They're the one that wrote and produced it, filmed it. It's really cool.
You can guarantee he won't be working with them again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we're giving a disclaimer now. And I'm
He
gonna
has a
go-
really long beard now. I really get confused. He
well,
didn't
you
have
have
that.
more hair than the last time I saw you.
That's very true.
So,
I made adjustments.
yeah. And then you and
He also
Tackett worked on
manscapes.
quite a bit. Tackett, what did you work on that, was there anything that you worked on that was screened here at Imaginarium that Erik was not a part of?
Well, there was Dirty Harry and the Hendersons, which was...
You played Sasquatch, right?
Yes, yes, which was a stretch. I mean, I love doing things that
Not
really
a stretch. He is so dirty. And hairy.
Oh my gosh.
A man just walked in with 2 swords. I just want to tell you. Just want,
Katanas.
please help me.
Oh gosh, here comes the Ronin.
Yes, we did. Yes, I was in United We Fall, which
Yes.
is exactly what it sounds like. We were united and we fell.
Yeah,
So-
sounds like a base jumping experiment.
Well, we had that in. That was all cut.
Oh, okay.
That was all cut.
But no,
It was my actual, like, about my sixth or seventh sex scene that has been cut. No one's ever really seen those. So, but I have
I
a
don't
private
understand
collection.
why, man.
I have a private room 213. I have a private
Do you need a
collection.
stunt penis if that's why?
Well, I do all my own stunts. When it
You
comes
do
to
your
that.
own stunts.
Yes,
All
I
right.
do all my. I'm quite flexible.
Yeah, I bet your fluffer loves you. But
Hey, well, he's sitting right next to me, so.
Yeah, he is a very talented sex stunt person. I must confirm.
but nah, and so you've actually been in a you and Eric are both in Tori Jones's most recent finished project, Angel,
Mm-hmm.
and this is, I know, at least Tackett. Eric, were you a part of a Wicked One? At
The
that
Wicked
time?
one,
The Wicked One, not
that
the
the
sequel
first
that
one.
was just made.
I did the score for that one.
Okay, so you guys have already worked with.
And
both
that
have
final
already
score
worked
was 3-2, by the way.
with
Yeah,
3-2.
so-
3-2. Okay.
3-2.
But yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert. But no, so what was it like working on something like Angel? Because I know Tackett, you're very, very chameleon-like with the roles that you play. You play just about everything from
just
a
called me a
hitman-
lizard.
Yes, I called you a
He
lizard.
just called me a lizard.
Yeah,
A
a very
looking
sexy
lizard.
lizard. But
Well, thank you.
but no, I mean, what is it? What is it like to be jumping from all these different style roles from that to? I know you play a sheriff, if I'm not mistaken, in Angel.
Which was a stretch. I've never really played any type of law enforcement
No.
before.
Yeah, I
So,
know, right?
yeah.
But no, what is it like for an actor for you to be jumping from one project to another? Because I know sometimes you have been jumping you go from one where you were this actor for a couple months and then you jump right into a next one. How is that for you as an actor, as a professional actor, to kind of handle that?
Well, I am a registered schizophrenic. The bank, there's an ATM
Bank? No,
right
not
down
the
there.
bank.
Banquet.
The
Banquet.
The other end?
And that was brought to you by.
That was brought to you
Pillsbury.
by the letter L. But no, and I am not going to edit that out because, guys, this is a convention, and we do want to be
Because
very
that is classic.
all-inclusive.
Or,
Well,
Yeah.
she
I almost
actually
said
worked
something.
on the L word. She was
Wow.
actually
Where am I looking?
marketing
Yes.
for Showtime.
So, but no, as you were saying, you're schizophrenic.
I'm
so
a registered
that helps.
schizophrenic. That is on file.
Um,
So it's quite easy to. As an actor, that's what you want to do. You want to do things. You want to do a lot of different things.
Mm.
You want to stretch it out, and you want to. You want to be comedic, and you want to be serious, and you want to do some action, and you want to do different things
Exactly.
because that's what acting is. Acting's not just doing one thing and staying on a straight course.
And that's when, because if you are doing that, then you're running into the issue of typecasting, where you're
Correct.
playing the same character over and over and again, which that sometimes works for people, like such as the great Keanu Reeves, who
Never heard of him.
is, I know, right?
No.
Who is that guy? Sheesh. But no, I mean, he is very typecastable, and his best roles are usually when he doesn't speak all that much because he is such a great action star.
Right.
And then Eric, you've talked about scoring, and I know you're also in a band. You are a musician, composer. When you are doing a score for such a film as, like, say, a horror versus another, like other genres, how is it? Where do you draw your inspiration from when you're doing these scores? Like Hans Zimmer talks about, like the Batman movie, or Danny Elfman, whoever did those. For the Joker in Dark Knight, he said that he just used a guitar string with a razor blade and gave that eerie sound. Now,
Wow,
So
I
what
didn't
does
know
he? What inspires you when you're doing that kind of thing to make it the film's own score, because it's very specific to the film?
The first thing I do, honestly, is, and really no joking aside, I'll watch the film for about 3 or 4 times. No music, just the straight audio, everything raw. And then what I do, I'll take notes, I'll start mapping things out, how I want to do it and which scenes. But that takes time. But the longest thing that takes time is finding the right sound. Like literally, I'll go through my 100 voices in the library that I have for keys, just so I can find the right sound for the right moment, for the right scene. Once I find the right sound, then I'll compose something off of that.
So now I know scores specifically are usually like shorter songs. Like you may get a 30-second
Mhm,
piece,
mhm.
and then there may be a big longer scene where you may have to do 2-3 minutes,
Right.
like an actual full-length
Yes.
song. For the amount of, because I know the math for a scene for final editing for a project, they say do 10 hours for every minute that's seen on camera, and
Ooh.
that's a typical basic rom-com kind of deal.
Mhm.
What would you say for you for a song, a 30-second composed score song? Would you say is typical for you time-wise?
Time-wise, well, I understand it's a mix.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a big, it's a big question when you're looking at different varieties
Mhm.
and styles and genres of films. Because sometimes it can just be a simple chord
Mhm.
because the voice I found is very moving. It has, it just fits. All I got to do is this for 30 seconds.
Mhm.
Maybe I might change to another chord or whatever just to
Yeah.
give it movement, a little bit more movement. But other than that, I mean, it just really depends. I've spent up to literally 2 hours because I put multiple parts in it. Because sometimes 30 seconds is very orchestrated. It's not just your simple horror, you know, find a spooky sound and get on
Yeah.
with it. Sometimes it's very, you got to be very live, you know, very
Exactly.
live with it. Like even when doing some of the stuff with Raiden,
Mhm.
there are some 30-second parts in that required multiple tracks of
Mhm.
orchestration. So it takes longer than 30, I would say
Yeah.
30 seconds. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it really depends on what's happening.
Yeah. So,
And let me say one more thing before
Okay,
we move
go
on,
ahead.
because this is actually very, very important that a lot of people don't know. Every movie has a beats per minute,
yeah.
and one of the hardest things for especially for people that are new, one of the hardest things to find is how, and I'm talking pace, how fast is the movie going?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing I realized: if you find the beats per minute, you can run the whole movie literally. Scenes will cut off literally on time.
Yeah.
And I don't even think the editors, I don't even think the editors even realize what they're doing. But an editor who understands flow,
Mm-hmm.
they will by nature ingrain a beats per minute.
And you're talking about a video editor who
Yeah, a
who
video
cuts
editor.
the scenes.
Yeah.
And so would
Is
you
he making that up?
I'm really
I-
not.
I
I'm
don't
really
know.
not.
I'm not an editor.
It's
yet.
crazy.
He's
It's
So-
crazy.
but-
But it's true.
But no. And
You know,
so,
he makes me so wet when he starts talking like
I
that.
know, right? I feel
Towel
like I
anyone?
just got out the
Towel?
shower.
Right, right.
But no, I mean the thing, and so we all three of us have been were a part of the Rain Valkyrie project,
Mhm.
and that was that would have been considered a low budget project in the grand scheme of things. I
Mhm.
mean, we also had fantastic people like we've already mentioned in discussion before this. Sylvia Wolf-Bush, we've had John Wells, we
Mhm.
had Miss Soul from Norway, we had all these people, Brock O'Hearn.
Katie Stewart.
Katie Stewart,
Bill Miller.
who's in Angel, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes.
And she's also in the Wicked One and
Mhm.
the upcoming Wicked Ones.
Yes.
The sequel to that. So what would you guys say? Because you guys, in a small community like ours, relatively speaking, we do work a lot with the same individuals, and sometimes we have fallouts, and sometimes strings are tightened, and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yes.
What would you say to somebody who may be going through that situation because of all that with an individual or something? What would you say to somebody who is in that predicament that they just feel like there's tension in a crew or something like that? What would you say to them?
I'm going to let the guy speak who everyone gets along with.
Not
What-
everybody.
Not everybody, but it's. I mean, it's. Yeah, everybody. This is really. It is a business,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna have people are gonna butt heads.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody gets along, but when you go to work, when you do that, you
Mhm.
be professional, and
Exactly.
you show up and you give 100%.
Exactly.
You don't tank something just because you don't like this guy over here
Yeah.
or this guy over here.
And especially in indie, you definitely have to understand a lot of us, we're not getting paid for this.
Right,
So especially
right.
as a director, as a producer, even though I haven't been that,
Right.
I worked with a couple of them, and they go, I'm not going to waste your time. And and that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, especially in indie film or low budget film. We're making close to nothing for this.
Right.
And this is weekends, this is months, and this is whatever. Like Rain Valkyrie took what, a month roughly to make,
Well, maybe.
to
Yeah, something like
film,
that.
No,
close
Yep.
to a month. And
It's 10-day primary.
yeah, 10-day primary. But it was what I think a lot of people, like you said, it is a business, and I think that's what a lot of people miss. But it's also also an art form. It's a passion,
Right.
And that's I think what we need to go into it is like, are you doing this to feel comfortable, or are you doing this because this is your passion to do it?
Right. Do you want to put a quality thing up on that screen?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the question.
Or, and it does work out a lot better if
Mhm.
people get along.
Exactly.
That shows up on there.
Mm-hmm.
But, we don't have to be, I
We
don't
don't
have to,
be like you guys here on the show. Yeah.
but you have to know between action and cut,
Like, yeah, exactly.
we're gonna do what we have to do.
Exactly. And I mean, we
Whether
hear-
we go hang out afterwards
Mhm.
is different. That's great if you do that.
Yeah.
That is awesome,
Mhm.
but that's not a given.
Exactly, and I mean, we see that. I think indie film we're so tight knit that usually because we work with each other. On
I
the
think
more-
we've roomed together like 27 times on films.
At least.
So,
at least 27.
And spin.
It's closer to 30.
yeah. yeah.
That may explain
Lot
the
of
bite.
spinning.
That may explain the bite pillows and Eric's pillows, but
Well,
but no. But no, I mean, and again, I think that, and again, it's like any other family too. I think when you
Well,
get
sure,
into
yeah.
and like you said, you guys have worked multiple times with Tori Jones
Who?
and Katie.
Who?
Yeah.
Tommy. It's Tommy.
Tommy Jones?
Yeah, it's Tommy Jones.
Tommy Jones?
Uh,
The
Tommy
Quentin
Lee-
Tarantino
Tommy Lee, right?
of
Tommy
indie
Lee
film?
Jones?
Yeah, we caught. Yeah,
but
TLJ
no,
for short.
And so Katie Stewart and them in such a tight
Right, yeah.
knit community that there is that family aspect that, and again, even in the family you don't get along.
Well, sure.
I mean, there's going to be
Sure.
times when you're just like, dude, really just get off me. Let's do our scene. Let's move on. Let's get this over with.
Right.
And I mean, and that's something that happens in indie film too. And then because I mean, we're hearing about it now in the whole A-list stuff that's going on now, and
Mhm.
I mean, that stuff's everywhere. But again, it's passion and business. Those are the two main things that you have to understand. It's
And that's
Yeah.
that's aspects in everyday life too.
Mhm.
I mean, you go into an accounting firm.
Mhm.
All these guys work together. They're not all best friends.
Exactly.
But
Right.
it just so happens when you're making a film, you might have to do things that you might have to kiss someone that you really don't like.
Right.
Exactly.
But you know
I
what?
feel
You're
sorry
going to
for
make it
whoever
look
has to
like
kiss me in my
you are
first
going to make
kiss
it look
scene.
like that's the love of your life.
Yeah.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
and I think that's what really sets in this business a lot more than in some other businesses is because you're not only acting to play that character, you're acting a lot to be like you're having to act like you really give a rip about that individual in a personal state too behind the scenes
Mhm.
because you have to be professional, and that's what professional I think is really acting.
Yep.
Out of what you know is the best interest for the
Mhm.
project or
Mhm.
the business. And so, and again, everybody's entitled to their opinions, and that's what I think a lot of
Yeah.
people forget is everybody's entitled to their opinions,
Right.
and I think we get so caught up in that. It's like my opinion matters, but so does the other individuals.
Right.
And
Right.
so,
Yep.
and that's why I find a lot of the best directors that I've seen, like even on A-list ones, are like, hey, they're very involved. They're like,
Mhm.
give us your input,
Right.
And then you have the vice versa where actors are just like, no, we're shooting that again. You're not using that. No, screw that. And they're not welcome to anything.
Yeah. You should always know the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chain of command is so important.
Whereas you have to.
Like the director may not be the one you need to talk to. His wife may be the one you have to talk to.
Right.
Stuff like that. And I
Mhm.
think that's a big thing, especially in these smaller communities, is you definitely have to know the hierarchy, especially because
Right.
you may be able to say this to one person, but
Mhm.
don't say this to the PA because he'll get all butthurt, or don't say this, but you could say like, dude, you're fucking up to the director, and he'd be like, okay, well, sit me down. Why do you think this is?
Yeah.
And you guys can watch the playback or whatever if you have that ability.
Mhm.
And so again, just go into this with an open mind like you would any other art form, and just go in with an open mind and be like, okay, let's make this.
Very true.
But what projects, if that you guys are allowed to talk about, because I know about the NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements, is there anything coming up in y'all's future besides the Wicked ones, the sequel to the Wicked One,
Which is going to be awesome.
which is going to be awesome. You guys wrapped on that not too long ago. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, the primary principal, we just got a couple pickups for November, but after that, yeah.
Of course,
It's on-
Tackett
it's
has to
still
pick up
on.
everything. He drops it out of his pants. He has to pick it up.
Well, you know.
Well, that's my job.
Oh yeah, the fluffer.
Told you. Room together 27 times.
But no, is there anything that you guys are currently working on, whether it be film, composing, scoring, that you guys are necessarily working on that you guys are allowed to talk
What
to us
you
about?
doing, Eric?
Well, you know.
What you
you know,
doing?
What are you doing
know.
tonight?
Exactly. There is one I can't really talk about right now. That'll be getting filmed between now and February, so that'll go into post. Hopefully, it'll come out by this time next year. It'll be done. There's
What's your name? Tallulah? Tallulah? Is that your name? Okay.
There's Overdue by Chase Dudley. I'll be running audio on that, and I'll be scoring that film. That's gonna that principal will be in March,
Okay,
toward the end of March.
cool. And
Are you allowed to talk about the other one?
I don't know
Have you
what I
signed
can
an NDA yet?
say.
Oh, I mean,
And probably not.
He's blasting it on Facebook. He can't help himself.
So there you go. And I ain't
Up to
signing.
y'all.
I
I
can
ain't
totally,
signing
I
shit.
can
I'm
totally
not
tell you about
I'm
that
not
one.
I ain't signing nothing.
I can't tell you. I'm not
I
gonna
have
tell
no
you the story, but I'm doing it.
demonetization. I don't make money off this, so go ahead and demonetize.
I
me
can't
if you
even
want.
spell that. What'd you just say?
But-
I'm very early in the pre-production stages of something.
Something dark side.
No, something. I don't.
You don't know yet.
It's a sequel, and it's
Awesome.
good,
Okay.
and it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at
Yeah.
that. We're not going to get you in trouble
Yes.
with, because I do know of people who have lost roles because they couldn't keep
Yeah,
their mouth shut.
you have to be respectful.
So, and again, it
Have to
goes
be
back to that
respectful.
business. If you say you're not going to talk about it, then you don't talk about it.
Right.
So,
Right. So let me tell you about it. No, I'm just.
So I'm also in the writing stages of a feature that plan on working on next year. It'll be my first one to direct, and actually pretty excited about that. But that's all I'm going to say about it right now. I don't want to jinx it.
all right.
It's a martial arts porn entitled "Entering the Dragon."
And you're the dragon, ain't you?
Yes.
Cat?
and the
I
Shogun
am.
lover.
the
Shogun Lover.
We'll be selling shirts
James
later
Tackett.
with Shogun Lover right on
Yeah.
it.
Man.
I like dragons.
We film
Yeah.
scene now.
So-
I
I
like
guess I shouldn't do
dragons.
that. That's
So
very bad.
let's move on to talking about where we're at. We're at Imaginarium here at the
Yeah.
Ramada Plaza Convention Center here in Louisville, Kentucky. So many of us clearly we know Steven Zimmer,
Mhm.
who I know who Steven Wimmer.
He's the guy that runs this.
Ah,
he's the
yes.
guy.
We love
Um,
Stephen Wimmer.
Yeah.
Wimmer. Steven with a PH.
That would be Fativan.
Stefan.
Stefan.
That's Stefan Zimmer.
But so clearly we all from the other episodes we know that this is a convention for creatives by creatives,
Mm-hmm.
and they definitely the past couple years they definitely vamped up on their film projects that they allowed. They even have their own little festival kind of deal going on with awards. So what would you say is the stamp for you guys that brings you guys back to Imaginarium? Because we talked about what it is, but what is it about it specifically that brings you guys back besides the fact that you guys are in just about half of what the heck they film here? I mean, they show here.
Potential.
Yes.
Potential.
Meaning the potential that you
Of the film
see
festival.
of the
Right.
of the film festival.
Because
Right.
for years, this was primarily for authors.
Mhm.
And it's
the
still.
first 3 years especially.
Yes, and it was very big. They come from all over, not just here, Louisville or Kentucky or anything. But, and like you said, just the past few years, he's opened it up to filmmakers, and
Screenwriters.
And that's what we're excited about. We want to get in on the ground floor and watch this thing take off. We want it to explode and be big, and this to be just the same way it's big for authors. We want this to be a big thing for
Indie,
film.
or indie film. Yes,
Um,
yes.
And
And we're friends with Steven, so
Yeah,
and
you're
we
friends
want
with
we
Steven,
like
yeah.
to
Let's see if it's successful.
we like
Yeah.
to support
Yeah.
him.
and that's the thing that also potential. Would you say that there is that you guys are here also to see the potential of the future of the industry coming in, specifically for the film? Because this is a good place. This is where I got my start. If it wasn't for here, I wouldn't know you guys because of
Yeah,
having
I mean,
worked with you guys.
I'd like to see the region become very active, you know, in Imaginarium for me, because it's about what you just said. When you start getting people in the region start working together, and you get that energy going on, that's only going to expand. You know, I think I mean, we don't really have it now, but one of the coolest things about when Kentucky had the incentive is that you were bringing people from the outside.
Right.
You start bringing people from the outside and you start talking, you start getting all this energy going, you know, and things happen, you know, and it's positive for Kentucky.
Get
it's
out and vote.
positive for the energy or the region. You know, it's positive. It's a positive thing for everybody that's involved when
Have you
everybody
think-
starts working together.
Yeah. Do you guys, because you guys have been in the industry a lot longer than me, and especially in this region, would you say that it's definitely ramped up within the past, say, 5 years of what Louisville's film community has been?
I've only been a part of it for the last 4.5 to 5 years. So James actually would be the better.
I've
one
been
to
doing
answer
this for a
that.
couple of weeks. And,
Well, let me answer that then.
But I mean, like overall, have you seen
But yes,
the
yes.
past
It-
decade?
oh yeah. And a lot of that, really, part of that is technology. The technology is more accessible to people. So you could have a lot of young guys that are really have a fire for filmmaking, and now they have an opportunity to do it.
Exactly.
Whereas before, they were, I don't really want to say locked out, but they were,
They didn't have the
It's
toys.
very limited.
Right.
Resources
It
were
was-
Right,
limited.
and that's
exactly.
the thing. They didn't have the toys, and I think that's something that that I heard someone say before is like we could have the next Steven Spielberg out in the
Sure.
middle of Iowa, but because there's nothing there, he's never given the option to
Right.
do that.
don't go to Iowa.
Don't
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that personally.
Yeah.
So-
But if you're from Iowa, you should stay there, and it's a wonderful place. But no. But again, it's great to hear, especially from you, Mr. Tackett. You know that it's definitely taken off in the past 10 years.
Sure, it has.
And
And grown at an exponential rate, I might say, because it really has. You went from just a few production companies that were doing everything, and now it has just expanded so much. Where guys like us, we could go from project to project to project.
Yeah,
We
very
could,
possible.
you know,
And for me, I can go from project to project, whether I'm on the production side or
Right.
or
The talent.
or the talent
Right.
side.
exactly. And I think that's something too that just to kind of wrap up on this part of the discussion. You know that we in the indie industry, you are going to play both sides of the camera. You are going to. There is no if, there is no ands. If you want to make it in this business, especially at ground level, which Louisville really is. I mean,
Yep.
like, we're not Hollywood, we're not Atlanta, we're not these big hubs. Atlanta, if here in Louisville, if you want to learn, this is the place to learn the business, because you're going to do everything. Because I mean, again, I was PA, then moved within a day. I went to props assistant and props master, and then I did fight choreography. I mean, that just shows that you're going to do everything, and you have to be willing to do everything and anything to make it here in this industry. Unless you guys disagree with me.
no. I've hauled my share of cords and cables, and I've held my boom mics, and
I purposely walked in, going into film with the mindset I'm going to be on both sides,
Exactly.
one way or the other.
Exactly, and I think you, and when especially for talent, I think though you can tell the difference in talent that have had that experience behind camera, because
Right.
you know, and what I've loved, because I've worked I've been mostly crew, And what amazes me is that when you see that talent, the cast, that are like, oh, hey, I know I'm not in this scene, but hey, what can I do to make sure that this goes a long way? And those are the people that are going to make it, because you see the drive, you see them seeing this as what it really can be.
Sure.
And so
It also helps if you've PA'd on a film before, and then you're on the other side, you're acting.
mhm.
You know, I know how hard those guys are working.
Yeah.
Yeah, PA's
You know,
never
I
stop.
know it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh
So-
gosh, trust me, I know.
No.
Sheesh. I never stopped.
Yeah.
But but yet again, because of that experience with you guys, I'm better for it now. And in this, and that was such a great way to start. And
I asked him for coffee once. He told me to shut up.
Did
So
he?
No,
yes,
I
he
didn't.
did. Yes, he did.
No.
Yes, he did.
No.
Can you believe it?
Yeah, and then
Tallulah,
there was
can you believe
then
that?
there was my partner Drew, who had to go and try to work out with Brock O'Hearn and the girls from Norway. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that. Hold up, we have a special announcement from Mr. Graber here.
After working out with Brock O'Hearn at a 24-hour fitness at 2 in the morning, I had to wake up like 3 hours later and then go hold a boom pole for the entire day. The entire day. So my arms are just like, so it's probably my fault if there were any audio issues at all. So sorry to Dave Sheridan and Steve for that, but yeah.
He called it a boom pole.
This is my boomstick. How
Boom,
many
ba-boom,
times have
boom,
you made
boom.
that joke?
What's that?
This is my boomstick.
It gets rubbed a lot, especially when I put the little fuzzy on the end.
And
Yeah.
it makes me jealous.
Yeah,
So.
it gets
I
rubbed a lot.
I love putting on a fuzzy condom on my finger.
Yeah. That's,
But no. But again, is there anything funny or anything really that really specifically that you guys want to say to up and coming filmmakers as a whole that want to make possibly?
Don't do it.
Oh gosh, don't do it for the money. Right? But no. In all seriousness, like if this is something that you know that somebody has like their dad's old handy cam and something like that they may want to venture out in this, what would you say?
Be prepared to take criticism.
That's a very good one. And
Be
'cause-
prepared to take criticism.
Yeah, and be prepared to not only hear the criticism but apply it.
Yeah.
And take it with a grain of salt.
Because it's a couple of things with that is that criticism is gonna thicken the skin,
Mm-hmm.
like an uncircumcised baby. But
I'm surprised Tackett didn't make that joke, but
it's still a true
because
statement.
that's his personal life story.
Because it's going to prepare you to be a PA on a bigger set.
Mhm.
Because you need to have thick skin as a PA.
Oh, yeah.
Because what we talked about.
Iggy Baby just walked in.
Being, whether
Iggy
you're
baby.
being an AC, where you're being a gaffer, any kind of type crew position, you got to have some thick skin. Because
Exactly.
there's a lot of things that have to get done, and
If you're standing still, you're not doing your job.
exactamundo. So you can't have thin skin, doing this.
Exactly.
He talks about skin a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what all this
How thin's
foreskin
your
talk
skin?
is about. I don't know. But but no. What would you say, James, if, for the up and coming filmmakers, whether of any age or any talent level, what would you say to them coming into the business side of this?
You have to have a fire for it, because if you go into it just for, you think this is cool and neat and this is glamorous, and you're not going to get that. There's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of work that people don't know anything about. There's a lot of things when the film wraps,
You're not done.
it's not done.
You still
Just
got to pack
getting
that
started.
You're talking about weeks and weeks and weeks of sitting in
Yeah.
front of a screen
Mhm.
and doing things,
Yeah.
and
Especially if you're editing your own stuff.
the general public doesn't know about all of that stuff.
Mhm.
They see the movie and think, that is so neat and that is so cool. You really made that? Yeah, I worked my butt off to
Yeah.
do that. And you know how many hours I sat in front of a screen, and how many times directors have to deal with actors that are just so unruly.
Oh, or the one question that every director and every long-term veteran actor hates hearing somebody ask, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. when is it going to be done?
When I get it done. That's usually my answer.
Exactly.
See?
It'll be done when you see it or hear it in person. That's
I'm
when it's done.
tired. Can I leave now?
No.
He says that a lot.
Oh
He
my
says that a
gosh.
lot.
Just Dan. Just
says
Dan.
that, yeah.
Well, nobody has a death scene
never
like
lets
you,
me.
man. Nobody has a death scene like
No,
you, Eric.
no. I am the best pisser ever.
The Beth Pith Dyer.
And that was not sound effects. That was really,
Yeah,
that
I
was
was
really his
doing
urine.
that. I had
That
to drink
was
a
it.
lot of water that
Yeah,
day.
well,
Eight
that's
takes,
that's
eight
something-
takes, and he got urine every time.
I know,
Yeah.
but that's something
Upon
we end up
demand.
have in common.
I-
now.
I'm
We are both-
urine
we are
upon
both
demand.
We are
Yeah.
both famous now for peeing ourselves. I pissed my pants on a project myself. So, but
Right
it's
on.
internationally famous.
But
so.
was this
Damn.
called for, or did you just do it?
I may have just done it. I
Well,
mean, I
alright.
may have been just sitting there.
I've
drank
actually
too much, you
defecated,
know.
and that was not called for in the script, so
Oh well,
there's that.
just had to add your own personal touch.
Yes, yes.
I
I'm like
was
a,
really turned on by that.
I'm like a
Oh my
monkey. Sometimes
gosh.
I just take it and I throw it. So.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
like a monkey.
I'm killing you after the show. But no.
Who doesn't like a
guys,
cute monkey? Right?
I love cute monkeys.
I love
See?
cute monkeys.
Mhm. Room 213. I'll show you a cute monkey.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to get to
welcome.
do even something as small as a project like this of a podcast with you
He
guys.
pointed, by the way, for you listeners, he pointed to Eric when he said small.
Oh, well,
James is helping me out on
yeah.
that.
Well, we're not talking about noses.
We're working through it.
But no, guys. Again, thank you so much for being on.
He's
the
trying to
show.
boot us out. Look, he's trying to boot us out.
We were just getting warmed up.
God.
Has the check cleared? I'm
always
not leaving.
warm.
I'm not leaving
always
till that check
warm.
clears.
I'm always warm.
I am not
especially-
leaving.
I'm always warm, especially when Tackett's around.
I'm
Oh
always
my
warm when he
God.
pees on me.
Oh my goodness. So that's what I was seeing behind the table over there. All right.
You don't want to come back here right now.
All right. I'll grab a mop and a shovel. But no, guys, in all seriousness, thank you so much for being on this. This means a lot to be able to talk with you guys. Somebody who helped me get my start in media in general. So
Right
thank
on,
you
man.
so much for guys.
Thank you for having us.
You're so welcome.
I liked it.
All right. Well, everybody listening, this is Lab Rat here at Made Studios signing off.